All right, so we're just where we left off with the effect editor movie, and in this movie I want to talk a little bit more about changing the speeds of clips, and you can do this in two different ways. If you need to change the speed of a clip and it's not in the timeline yet, you can certainly just look for it in your bin. So I'm going to have this one here. I'm going to double click the icon to load it into the source window, and then if you remember, this one has the cows kind of going across the field as the Saturn's driving by. Let's say you wanted to use that clip, but you wanted to speed it up or slow it down, and it's not in the sequence just as of yet. So what you want to do is you want to go to the motion effect editor, and I have it mapped to this button here, but it's actually in here if you go to the middle in the fast menu, and it's right there at the very bottom, second row, second one over. Okay, so I don't need that, so I'm going to close that. I've already put it here. What you can do is if you click on it, it brings up the motion effect dialog box, and it gives you, it's checked variable speed, and it gives you some indication of what's happening. So the current video has a duration of 218 frames at the rate of 30 frames per second. It defaults to the last time you used it, so this one it's 20% of speed, so it's going to speed it up by 200%. I said 20, but I meant 200. So it does the math for you already, and it says it's going to recalculate it, so it's going to last 109 frames at 60 frames per second. And then you can render in interpolated field, and then you can hit create and render. When you hit create and render, it's actually going to create a new rendered file that has that speed already added to it. So let's go ahead and say that. It's going to ask me what bin, because I have several bins open. We can put it right in that bin, that's fine. It's going to do its thing, and when it does, if we look back in a bin, click on the bin to highlight it, at the very top, I can zoom in here for you guys. At the very top, it has the free motion effect kind of icon, sort of italicized, and it has the same name, and it gives us the information of the frames per second. So I'm going to zoom back out, and if you notice, it automatically loads that file that it created in your sequence, or I'm sorry, in your source monitor. So let's play that and see it. So the cows are moving double the speed, really. Okay. So now what I want to do is you can use the same thing, but go and slow it down. So I'm going to go back to my original. So double click original, and you notice no italicized. Cars with cows is there. If I go back to the motion effect editor, now let's say I want 30% of speed. So I'm going to reduce it by a whole bunch. Okay, and it does the math for me again. When now I hit create and render again, it's going to ask me which bin. It's going to do its thing. And then now you look at the very top, my cars with cows is 9 frames per second, and it's already loaded. So if I play it, now those cows are moving really, really slow. And you see it's sort of jumping on me. It might be because I'm also recording too. So that's one way that you can create it. Now, mind you, this is before it's even in our sequence. We can actually slow it down or speed it up. Now, what if you had an instance where you wanted to remove something and have it fit to fill? If you notice, there was a little fit to fill option in that motion effect editor. So let me show you how to do that. If I click on my timeline to activate it, I'm going to click on my click on my red arrow, and I'm going to remove this See You Chick, although it's very cute. I'm going to remove it. So I'm going to click on it, hit delete, and it's going to leave a gap there, which is exactly what I want. I'm going to now patch V1 to V1, right? So my source from video 1 is going to go on video 1, and I want it to fit right into the spot, okay? So I don't know how big that is. So what you can do is once if you're patched correctly and you have your time bar right in that area, if you hit T on the keyboard, T like Tom, it marks an in and an out for just that little segment. And if you look at the composer window in the middle, it tells us the amount of time for that segment. It's 2 seconds, 24 frames. So I'm going to load my Cars with Cows original movie. You see that? No italicized at the top. So it's my original, not the 2 that I made. And then I'm going to go back to my motion effect editor. And then now I'm going to hit this button here, Fit to Fill. It's going to do it automatically. And you notice it's going to increase it by 259%. And then when I hit Create and Render, it's going to ask me again what bin, as I have several bins open. We're going to hit OK. It's going to do its thing, and you think, well, wait a minute, how come it didn't put it in there? It didn't put it in there yet because it created that video effect, changed the time that you're asking it to, but now, as long as you have an in and an out in your new file, now when I hit B like boy to overwrite it, it's going to overwrite that section. So when I play it, It should be pretty fast. So I'm going to play it. There's going to be music, so hold on 1 second. Hit spacebar.
Anyway, that Saturn was dependable, and those rust and dent resistance.
So now it went by really, really fast, and I fit to fill that original file in that section that I wanted. If you remember, it was 2 seconds, 24 frames. So that's one way to do it. Now let's say you have a file and it's already in the sequence, okay? Before, the ones we've just done have been outside. They've just been living in our bin. But now let's make that happen. So I'm going to command click to the very end of my sequence here. I'm going to open up my original Cars with Cows clip, and I'm going to hit V on the keyboard to put it right in here. So I'm going to use that same one. The cows are running around, is quite exciting. So I'm going to use that same one. So you can do it with an effect as well. So now it's already in my bin, or excuse me, in my sequence. I'm going to go to the project window. I'm going to go to my effects tab, if I'm not already there, my fourth one over. I'm going to scroll all the way down to time warp, and I'm going to find the time warp effect. I'm going to click and drag it over to my new clip. Okay, again, it doesn't do anything except give you that purple box. You then have to say, okay, Avid, I'm going to go to that effect mode, and now it brings up the motion effect editor. Okay, now again, it's sort of the same idea. You're in that motion effect, so a couple things happen. Yours might look like this. I'm going to close this up. It might look very small. And if it does, that's fine. You're just going to open up the two windows, speed graph and then position graph. Okay, and let's see if I can make this work. You can scale this down so we can see kind of the entire thing. Hopefully it comes out as nice. You can see this green bar is the way that the motion is happening, and we're right in the middle of the clip, so that's giving us that blue position indicator right where we're at. But the green bar is the space of that, the span of that clip, and this darker box is the amount of time that we have, okay? So if we look on our speed side, it's going at 100% the entire time, which might be what we want. But we're going to actually come back here a little further. And just like we did with keyframes, we're going to add a keyframe. You can hit the keyframe, add a keyframe button down here, or you can hit the apostrophe key on your keyboard, and it adds a keyframe. So we can say, go, play the clip a little bit at 100%. Then when it reaches this keyframe, I want it to stay there, but I'm going to go a little bit further in time. I'm going to add another keyframe, and I'm going to drag this keyframe up to, let's say, 200 something, okay? And if you can look, I actually dragged it up to 234%. But you can actually click in here and drag it to, or type in there 250 if you wanted. Oops, and then I got rid of it. 250, hit enter. Perfect. Now it's at 250 exactly. And then let's say I want to go down the time a little bit. I want it to go pretty fast for a few seconds there. I'm going to hit another keyframe. I'm going to go down a little bit, and then I'm going to bring this down, add another keyframe, and bring it all the way down to maybe, let's say 25. Okay, 25%. And then we're just going to write it out 25%. Okay, now if I change the type here to interpolated, and let's play it to see what happens. So I can play the loop.
Chicks in that car. Now I'm driving a new Saturn, a 97 wagon with chicks in that car.
Perfect. So now if you notice, it stayed 100, it sped up really quickly, and it slowed down. And that's exactly what I wanted. Okay, so once we're good with that, we can render this effect. We can use the motion effect drive, render that effect, and now we can close the motion effect editor, and then when I go back to my sequence here, let's play this out.
1,000 chicks in that car. Now I'm driving a new Saturn, a 97 wagon with any...
Perfect. Now again, it's not no rhyme or reason in the way that it's organized with the audio clip, but it was just an idea, give you guys a visual of what's happening with that time warp effect. So again, just like any other effect, if you wanted to get rid of it, you just hover your time bar over it, and then you can remove that effect completely if you didn't like it. So that is a little bit more. I mean, there's tons of effects in AVID. Play through, see what's available, and see what they do, and have some fun. And we'll see you in the next movie. Thank you for watching.